Greetings, metalheads, and welcome to No Nonsense Metal Reviews. I'm George, and I'm back with another live Killers review. An excellent live performance that you can enjoy from the comfort of your own home. A show that's absolutely worth you checking out. So, today's live killer comes from one of the biggest names in thrash metal, one of the much disputed and very controversial subject that it is, one of the American Big Four of thrash metal. Whether you agree with that title or not, they have been documented as being one of the Big Four. So hey, who am I to argue with that? I'm talking about Anthrax, and the live killer in their discography, in my opinion, is their most recent live effort. Well, actually, I don't even think it is their most recent live effort anymore, but it's a fairly recent live effort. From 2018 it was released, recorded in 2017. This is Kings Among Scotland. What I do particularly like, and what really stands out, is of course that Kiss Rock and Roll Over tribute album artwork there. I really like that. I appreciate that. I really like Rock and Roll Over. I think that's a good eye-catching cover. And I don't know, that just kind of works. You know, Anthrax are pretty light-hearted. They clearly don't take themselves too seriously. So, hey, why not? It's a worthy tribute. So, Kings Among Scotland, Anthrax. A really good live album. I've been an Anthrax fan for a lot of years. You know, they're quite an accessible metal band. The American Big Four, I can't even remember the year, but they were part of the Big Four package that headlined the Sonosphere Festival in Nebworth here in the UK. That was many years ago. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go at the time. I think I was either a little bit too young, maybe not, but I think probably school got in the way or something like that anyway. But I remember seeing that lineup and being so into Slayer and Megadeth and Metallica at the time, and Anthrax, and just being totally gutted that I couldn't see that, and thinking that's got to be the mecca, the best, the benchmark kind of lineup that you could possibly get. Obviously, over the years, your opinion and your taste does change slightly. But anyway, I digress. So I've been into Anthrax for many, many moons, and I was a fan by that time that I was terribly disappointed by not getting to go to Sonosphere Festival. And I remember circa that time, I was so big into Spreading the Disease. There was something about that album I already loved Among the Living, but there was something about Spreading the Disease that I was totally hooked on. So the reason why I, at that time, really wanted to go to Sonosphere was because I wanted to see Anthrax, the mighty Anthrax. And again, can't remember what year exactly, but a few years later, I finally got my chance for the first time to see Anthrax opening up for the mighty Motorhead at the Cambridge Corn Exchange. And that was an absolute mind blower. I then saw Anthrax a couple of other times, Download Festival, Sonosphere Festival, might have been some other times. I can't even remember. I haven't seen Anthrax in a few years, but they are a very reliable live band. And I remember seeing this advertised a couple of years ago, more than a few years ago. Christ, it's 2024. Okay, so 6 years ago, I remember seeing this advertised and thinking, okay, well, I'll check it out when it goes down in price. And I did, because I didn't get it at the time straight away. Picked it up probably a couple of years later, maybe circa 2020, 2021, for, you know, reduced price, bargain bin stuff. And I remember at the time putting this on and just being totally blown away by it. Absolutely floored by just how freaking good this recording is. And I understand, yes, it's a live album. It's going to have been played with. So it's directed and produced, editing and authoring by Paul M. Green. Yes, I understand. It's been played and mixed by Jay Rushton. Then we got mastered by Paul Logus. Yeah, I get it. It's been played with. Don't care. This sounds freaking great. And also from seeing Anthrax live, I know they absolutely deliver. Anthrax, there's more to Anthrax than just Among the Living, and even more than just Spreading the Disease. There's a lot of great albums and great material in Anthrax catalogue. I'm personally a fan of all eras, whether it's the much underrated John Bush era, because there's some great albums there. Yeah, it's not the thrash core essence that we had with the first Belladonna era or the most recent releases. No, fine, but they're still good albums. You know, Fistful of Metal with different vocalists, Turbin, John Turbin, I believe. Can't even remember. You know, different style there. That was very different era. But Anthrax have been through a lot of ups and downs and changes and God knows what. But they always consistently deliver live, and they've always got good albums. So this album, Kings Among Scotland, is a very interesting one because it's obviously from the tour of the latest album, which was 2016, 8 years ago. Come on, Anthrax, pull yourself together. For All Kings, which is a belter of an album, I will say. I really like this album. So they do give this album some visit there. They give it some time, give it a bit of an airing, playing a couple of choice tracks, which is great. The first side of the album, this is a double live album effectively. The first side incorporates some tracks from Spreading the Disease. We get the amazing AIR opening up into Madhouse, which has one of the best thrash rhythm riffs freaking ever. That is thrash embodiment. I absolutely freaking love that track. It's one of the best tracks from one of the best Anthrax albums, period. Madhouse, bloody brilliant. And then they also revisit it for Medusa. Absolutely incredible. All of them sound brilliant. Better than the studio recordings, because let's face it, those recordings of Spreading the Disease and Among the Living, the production leaves a little bit to be desired. You know, it's a bit dull, it's a bit muffled. And these more recent live efforts, wow, they sound freaking good. Belladonna, still sounding good, you know. Yeah, he's aged. Yeah, he sounds a bit different. You know, that's natural. Still sounds bloody good. So they give Spreading the Disease its justice. Then they give you a choice selection of cracking material from For All Kings. We get Evil Twin, which is brilliant, I have to say. We get the sort of quite melodic, quite hard rocking effect of Blood Eagle Wings. Very catchy though. And then we get the brilliant pummeling Breathing Lightning. But we also get a very welcome nod to State of Euphoria in the opening track from that album, Be All End All, which is fantastic. And what I really love is the inclusion of Fight Until You Can't, which has become a bit of an anthem for Anthrax. Of course, that's one of the choice tracks from Worship Music, the big comeback album that, my gosh, I remember that was blown way out of proportion, the amount of love that was coming for that album. It's an amazing album, but it just seemed like for a long time that was all that you were hearing about. I remember, I think it was Metal Hammer magazine, must have been probably at the time, having a special issue, you know, with posters and the whole cover and the feature and everything. It was just the world went crazy for Anthrax again, but with good cause. So that first side sounds fantastic. Those tracks sound heavy as hell. Amazing. Absolutely brilliant. Love it. Love the fact you've got the Spreading the Disease material. Love the fact that they've, you know, dipped into a couple of bits in between, but then they've also honoured their newest album, which is a bloody good album. Very solid. Then we get side 2, which is playing, obviously, their biggest and most successful album, Among the Living, the benchmark thrash kind of crossover album that it is, in full, start to finish, but doing very embellished, very big renditions of all of those tracks. Now, I love Among the Living. I think it's a fantastic album. I personally have always leaned a little bit more towards Spreading the Disease, just because I don't know, I just connect with that so much more. But you know, I could listen to Among the Living any day. It'd never get old. I think it's a great album. Some really cracking material there. And when they play those tracks live, I don't think I've ever seen Anthrax play the entire album in full, but certainly they always play Indians. They always play Among the Living and Caught in a Mosh. Great stuff. Wonderful. It's going to get the house moving. Guaranteed. To hear it in full is actually really good. I love the fact they've just delivered the whole album. They haven't tried to do anything different like what Metallica did when they played the Black Album in full. Again, I can't even remember how many years ago that was now. It was Download Festival. We've got a ticket stub up there. What is it? 2013? Yeah, 2013, I think. Looking at my stubs on the wall up there. 2013, where they played the Black Album back to front to try and mix things up a bit, probably in recognition of the fact that the first side is stronger than the second side. I don't know. To be honest, I think the best tracks are kind of dotted around with that album. But anyway, Anthrax don't bother. They just give you the album, start to finish, in running order. That's that. Nice and simple. But what you actually get is the album in its full glory, in that live, energetic, powerful setting. And I'll tell you, when I stick this album on, I'm flailing around like an idiot. I am caught in my own mosh, which is in my own head and in my own living room and wherever else in the house I happen to be. It's bloody brilliant. It sounds fantastic. I really do think Anthrax are... They're not an underrated band because everyone knows Anthrax, but maybe people don't appreciate Anthrax quite as much as what they deserve. I don't know. The lineup is strong here. So we've still got the core essence of the band there in, of course, Scott Ian, who we can see. I think he's front and centre in this nice fold-out double disc digipack. There's the man himself, Scott Ian. Scott Ian, the personality, the legend, the thrasher, and he really is a scene legend. Absolute legend. So, Scott Ian, rhythms and backing vocals. We've now got John Doneus on guitars. I don't really know too much about John, but he's a very capable axeman. Still got the great Charlie Benante on drums, and he is an exceptional drummer. And what really stands out on this live recording is Charlie's drumming. That guy's got it. He's right on. He deserves that spot in Pantera at the minute because that guy, he's bloody talented. All right, there's no disputing that. Of course, we've got Belladonna back in the band. He's been in the band again for a few years. Well, a lot of years now. And he's a great vocalist. I think Joey, he has a real presence and a real character that thrash kind of needs. Because, I mean, let's face it, thrash doesn't necessarily have the best vocalists across the board. Dave Mustaine is not necessarily a great singer. He's a good frontman, but he's not necessarily a great singer. James Hetfield, yeah, he's a better singer. He's got a good voice. But Joey Belladonna, he can really sing. Just like Bobby Ellsworth or Chuck Billy even. They can really sing, or they can do something really defining with their vocals. Not to say, anything bad about Dave or James. I just think that Joey, there he is, wearing his Anthrax shirt. What a legend. He can actually really freaking belt it out. Love that guy. And we've still got, of course, Frank Bello, who randomly has, at the minute, turned up with Satyricon, which is interesting pairing, but yeah, amazing bassist. That guy is a fantastic bassist, and his bass is prominent, it's booming, I love the rattly bass tone. Oh, I love it. Absolutely bloody brilliant. That guy, this band, just Anthrax, actually, they're a great band. One of the best thrash bands, come on. So what you get here is their classic album in full, but doing it really well. What you get actually is elongated versions, as I say, of certain tracks. A Skeleton in the Closet sounds monumentally heavy. It almost sounds like Testament or Slayer level heaviness. It's just crunch fest, like head bang, neck busting crunch fest. ADI, Horrors of It All. NFL as well. These tracks, actually, that's kind of the second half of the album is really brought up in terms of its prominence. It sounds just as good as the well-known earlier album tracks, like Among the Living, Caught in a Mosh, and One World. Just amazing start to finish. And then they throw in their classic cover of Antisocial. I believe it's a Trust song, if I remember correctly off the top of my head. I can't quite recall, but it's a cover that they've made famous. Just like with Got the Time, they've taken that and made it their own. And it sounds good. It really works. So what you've got here is the classic Among the Living album in full, in live glory, in Glasgow in 2017. It sounds monumental. Heavy as freaking hell. The heaviest that you're ever going to hear Anthrax, or you're ever going to hear that Among the Living material. And you also get some new tracks, choice new tracks, some choice old tracks in a really long, really well performed live album. This is one of the best thrash live albums, definitely. And let's face it, in the big four, in particular, the American big four of thrash, we don't have that many good live albums or big live albums. I mean, Metallica have the S&M stuff, which is nice, but that's not them in the raw. If they had a live album, which was a double live album, side A has a couple of bits from 72 Seasons, a couple of bits from Hardwired, and then, you know, just some stuff from Kill 'Em All. Absolutely amazing, or Ride the Lightning. And then second side is Master of Puppets in full or something. I'd be all over that. I'm sure that we'd all freaking love that if it was done well. Solos and all. Megadeth don't really have, they have a couple of live bits and pieces as well. Rude Awakening, I think. What about Slayer? Decades of Aggression? Yeah, other than Haunting the Chapel, not Haunting the Chapel, Live Undead. No, nothing particularly distinguishing. I know they came up with something more recently, but I didn't particularly get into that. Something to do with the Repentless era. I can't even remember. I didn't even pick it up, to be honest. But really, we've got an absence of killer US thrash live albums. Testament have done some great stuff. Overkill, some great stuff. Exodus, questionable. But actually, Anthrax have knocked all of that stuff out of the park. Definitely. They've blown that out of the water, I should say. And they have knocked it out of the park with a killer freaking live double album. So, a live killer, Anthrax, Kings Among Scotland, an absolute belter, an absolute monster with a great cover, lovely package. You can actually pick this up pretty cheap now. It really is high quality. You will not regret it. If you're new to Anthrax, check this out, because this is a good career-spanning, well, belladonna era career-spanning piece, but also it just sounds bloody brilliant. So, my friends, check out Kings Among Scotland from the mighty Anthrax. What are your thoughts and opinions on this album? What are your thoughts and opinions on Anthrax? What are your thoughts and opinions on your thoughts and opinions? Interested to hear. Do check back soon for more reviews and recommendations. Feel free to like, subscribe, share, comment, get involved. Very much appreciate all your continued support. Until next time, my friends, take care of yourselves, thrash like lunatics, and stay freaking heavy.